In Chapter 2, we take a lot closer look at the balance sheet. In study objective 1, we identify how the balance sheet is classified. So they'll discuss what make up assets and liabilities and equity to some extent. And we start by going through current assets. Now, that word current you're going to see over and over in accounting, and it means within a year or less in general. So, when you see current assets, we're looking at assets or things that a company owns or has rights to that will typically be used up or converted into cash within the next year. When in the homework, you're going to have lots of problems where you make, or some problems where you have to make create balance sheets, and you have to classify all of the components of these categories and put them in a certain order. And this order is called, where is it listed right here? Order of magnitude. So companies list current assets in the order in which they expect to convert them into cash. So here, look at the order of current assets. Cash is always first because it's already cash, but then short-term investments can quickly be sold and turned into cash within a few days. Those are things like stocks and bonds. Accounts receivable are amounts you're waiting to collect. You've already sold some stuff to customers and the cash should be coming anytime. Notes receivable are usually longer term things, so they usually come after accounts receivable. Inventory has to be sold first to customers, and this is usually sold at what's called on account, which means the cash gets paid later. So this is going to take longer to convert into cash than accounts receivable. So it goes down next. Supplies are kind of smaller or less expensive things that a company uses up in running its business. So it's not inventory. Inventory are assets that a company sells to customers. And then prepaid insurance. This is companies have purchased insurance policies and they give them protection for the next several months or years or whatever the case may be. So this isn't going to be used up until typically until some future time beyond all of these items. So this is an inexact science, and you might have some frustration in getting this right, but basically just try and employ that logic that I just told you about, and hopefully it'll come out okay. So after current assets come long-term or long-lived assets, long-term investments. Again, these are stocks and bonds or real estate or whatever a company's investing in, but the key is these assets are not used in the business itself. They're simply ways for company to invest their excess cash. Property, plant, and equipment are long-lived assets that are used in the business. So land, equipment. We'll get into what accumulated depreciation is later. Patents and lots of other examples of intangible assets exist too. These are long-lived assets, but they don't have a tangible nature. You can't touch them, but they have value. Liabilities and equity. The current liabilities section employs the same kind of idea that the current assets section does, in that these are all debts that a company expects to have to pay within the next 12 months, 1 year. So that's what current again means, amounts due within a year. Typically, notes payable goes first, accounts payable goes second, and then the rest of them are usually listed in order of magnitude. So you can see, you know, well, these all happen to be in order of magnitude, but these two would be first and second no matter what the amounts are. And then after that, they would fall in accordance with their amounts. Highest goes first, down to lowest. So then long-term debts come after that. These are amounts that are due more than a year from now or stretch beyond a year. Notice how notes payable can be in both sections, because if there's an amount that's due within the next year, that portion of it would go in the current section, and if there's an amount that relates to future years, then that portion goes in the long-term section. And then stockholders' equity, common stock. This is the total amount of cash, at least for our purposes now, that stockholders have invested in the company, and retained earnings are the profits that the company has retained over time.